Good afternoon, folks. I think I'll be live. Just give me a one in the chat if you can hear me, folks. Stick a one in the chat if you can hear me. Cool. Scott's Armour and Steve Gray, thanks very much, gents, for being watched this afternoon. How's Marla doing now, boys? Well, I hope that sounds a bit better. I've been footering about, and this is my first stream, so bear with me, please, gentlemen. Glad to get done now, got 10 there. No, don't say that, Steve. Don't say that, Steve. How does that sound to you? No. There we go. Hope that's a bit better, gents. And welcome to the first episode of Plain Speak, because that's what I like to do. That's what I aim to do as well. Try not to beat around the bush, but we are on YouTube at the moment, so today just want to give you a little rundown of the state of play, where we're at the moment, what content we're planning on doing. I am Steve. Today I've got my good friend, Bonnie Lad, who we all know, you know, with us and streamer. I've also got another friend of mine. I won't be familiar to you boys, but he's a very good friend of mine. Hang on, sorry, gents. I got. Alright, lads, how are we now? This is the best it's going to get, so I'm hoping that works well. Aye, with us this afternoon we've got Bonnie Lad, and yeah, my dog friend, spot on. There we go. Sorry about that, boys. That's that Wi-Fi. But yeah, one of my mates is going to drop in, and he is a good friend of mine. I've known this boy for must be 20 years. So he's a solid gent. And yeah, dual citizen. Glad to see you in chat. Send some hello, my friend. Galileo's turn. I'm honoured. Gammon sandwich. Brilliant. What Tyler 1381. Good afternoon, my friend. I'm hoping that audio is back to normal. Audio bad again. Yeah, I'm on Google Chrome. Just need to put a few things in it. while I'm trying to fix my audio with this end, I'll introduce Bonnie Lad and let him say good afternoon. Good afternoon, Bonnie Lad. While I'm trying to fix my audio with this end, I'll introduce Bonnie Lad and let him say good afternoon.
Yeah, hi everybody. Yeah, fine, thanks. You've got your volume on. I think you've got your volume on YouTube. Yeah, fine, thanks. You've got your volume on. I think you've got your volume on YouTube. I don't know. Is that sound? Am I coming across okay in the chat, everybody? Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, it's unfortunately Scottish Jam's having some issues. Unfortunately, because we're talking off stage and everything was seemed okay. I have no idea what the problem is. Hopefully, we'll get through this. Sarah goes, unfortunately, you've got a Yorkshire man who can't pronounce words. So you'll have to listen to me for a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds till Scott's Tam sorts his stuff out. So hope you're all doing well. I didn't catch Chief Moody's stream last night. I caught it some this morning. I watched it today. And same with Scott Sama. Like I said, I'm one of these football fans who don't follow England. I didn't actually watch it. It was on BBC. I was seeing the text coming through. I was doing something else, so I ended up catching up with streams this morning. So I've put a shout out today. Well, I've told people on Telegram to catch up with Chief Moody's and Scott Sama's streams from last night. I did catch a bit of both of them, but I was a bit involved with other stuff, like a lot of people. So yeah, I didn't watch the match. I just, like I said, I saw a bit of extra time because I saw that on YouTube afterwards, the highlights and the penalty shootout, and it's a bit strange to me. I think I said that at the time. We're talking to somebody afterwards. It was just a bit strange how they got those three chaps up to take the penalties. Very strange that to me. I really did. I just think they're a little bit more of an agenda when it comes in footballing terms. You know, you'd choose your best players, wouldn't you? Somebody with a bit more experience. You won't get like the last guy at the end, a 19-year-old, and the other guy, especially the last two, and even Rashford. He missed a penalty against the Spanish side, didn't he? When they lost in the knockouts with Manchester United. So I'm surprised they chose all three of them, to be honest with you. That was the main surprise to me when the names were coming up, because I was, like I said, I was seeing the text on BBC and so-and-so's coming to take the penalty. I was surprised that the next guy come up, and I thought, why is he taking a penalty? Then the next guy come up, and I was surprised at that. I really was surprised. But then that's probably me being a little bit naive. And I think there's a little bit of an agenda there. I think even before the final, when I did the stream on Saturday, and what I said, whatever the outcome of this is, you know, Diverse is going to be the champion in some respects. But obviously the backlash today of the events last night, we've seen it, it's prevailing a lot, obviously, on social media, like Twitter, Facebook, etc., Instagram, etc. So there's going to be a bit of a backlash there. I think, I was just saying this to somebody before we started the stream, is that I can imagine that the next 24, 48, 72 hours, there'll be some people getting a knock on the door. And I think they'll make some arrests. I think they're going to definitely make some examples of some people. And I wouldn't be surprised to see one or two chaps getting a very short custodial sentence. I think they really will go overboard with this. I think they will anyway. And you're seeing people now being outed on Twitter, Facebook, or whatever. You see some of the mainstream media outlets are actually telling people to get sacked. There's that comedian who's a funny guy, I forget his name now, as we have to say in chat, I forget his name. He's had I think he's closed his own account down, and already looking at comedy, is it Comedy Central, Comedy Summit, one of the London clubs in London who do a lot of hiring and firing. So they're just saying that already he's lost a load of future dates because of his tweet, what he did. And like he said, a lot of people say just sarcasm. He's a comedian. It wasn't aimed. This is my interpretation. There's no racial overtones of what he was saying. He said one of his quotes was Marcus Rashford one. He just said he should be practicing penalties rather than practicing social justice. Well, could lose his livelihood over that. And YouTube, but they'll be monitoring him now. There'll be people now on YouTube, will be on his channel complaining to YouTube about him being a racist and stuff like that. So they'll be trying to get his channel closed down. And that's how it'll be. You're going to see loads of people even just saying something, what's the word? It's not even mildly offensive, but even just something, like you said, just a bit of sarcasm. And that's all it is. If you say, it's like you said, some of these, especially these three footballers, these three English Lions, they're beyond reproach. And if you start saying stuff in a humorous way, you're going to get doxxed, or you're going to get deplatformed, or whatever. So I think there's a lot more to come out of this story. I think it'll run a good part of the way. The only good thing about this story, I was just thinking about this, is it's sort of not COVID. It's sort of not COVID to one side. So I imagine that'll be coming back at some point today, because obviously we're blaming all English fans for the spread of COVID. And tomorrow, obviously, it'll be all about COVID and racism. I imagine it's not going to go away, COVID, obviously, but it's just quite funny today. It's just sort of, it's moved it away a little bit. It's not getting the headlines it normally does. So I'll just see how that goes. But I've not really been looking at a lot of news, because I just saw some of the stuff on, I think it was on just general Twitter and stuff like that. We're just looking at some stuff that was trending. It was quite funny, really. Black Lives Matter was trending again. I don't know if it still is. What else were trending? Neanderthals, and obviously all English fans are Neanderthals. And don't get me wrong, a lot of them were they're idiots, a lot of them. I don't have a lot of time for some, not just what they were saying, but some of the behaviour is a little bit, leaves a lot to be desired. So they're out there to get shot down. Regardless of what the result was, I think they're always going to have a backlash against a lot of the English supporters anyway. So, like I said, they didn't win it. I don't know where. Tam, are you all right? Are you still sorting it out?
I was going to say, how do I sound now?
Yeah, you sound better. Sorry about that. Sure. I'll mute myself. Yeah, that sounds
not at all, mate. I was just listening to what you were saying. I think it would have been a big win for diversity last night had that have went ahead. So, and they'd have won the cup. So does that mean that it's a great loss for diversity now, or something like that?
Yeah, like I said, it's going to work both ways, isn't it? I suppose, because obviously it was all about diversity and healing communities, bringing people together. Obviously, that hasn't quite worked out. So I think they realise they're going to have to another plan of action, aren't they, to force this diversity onto people. So it's quite funny in some respects. So they're probably rolling out a new education policy, in the government. They said, well, we have to start educating these people at a lot younger age, and when we'll have to start doing it. Looking at it a bit differently. But I just think it's just what it is. I think it was always going to happen this way. There's going to be a bit of a backlash, and I just think, again, this is my own opinion, the three players that chose to take the penalties, that's what surprised me. And it's not to do with, for me, it's not to do with who they were. Well, it is. I think they were chosen because who they were. But you'd have gone for your strongest players, wouldn't you? The most experienced players who, I don't know. That's what I had a thought. Anyway, when I played football in the past, not obviously a rubbish level, you always chose your best players, to take the penalties. They're the best players, aren't they? You don't just choose players because of who they are and what they are, do you? I don't know how you felt about that.
I did see that take on Telegram, I think it was. These three were deliberately put there because those would have been the last couple of penalties that would have sealed the cup for England had they have won it, which would have meant that diversity had won the cup for England. But I think the English fans can breathe a little sigh of relief, because had they have won that last night, then see everything that you boys done in 1966, that would have been wiped away, because they couldn't celebrate that. There's far too many English people in that English team of 1966. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it'd have been eclipsed without a doubt. And like you said, there'd have been stamps, coins, there'd have been everything. And there were a lot of people just waiting to do all that, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. I suppose I'm a bit surprised at the backlash. I didn't see what was a lot of people obviously were saying on social media, but anything what's said on social media in the respect of these footballers, non-white footballers in that respect, it's just what do you call it? It's just over exaggerated. It's like I said, they're always the victims, etc., etc. That's how it is, unfortunately.
So it's like you say, you can't be sarcastic about these things without getting into trouble. It's almost like some kind of religious laws.
Well, yeah, it's like you said. It's like we're just the guy who, I think you know his name because you mentioned him before on the stream. The comedian, the guy who's always doing like a policeman.
Oh, is that Andrew Lawrence?
Yeah, he's actually. I think he's taking down his Twitter account, and he's like they posted some stuff, and it was just like most people like myself are saying. I didn't see anything really offensive about it whatsoever. I'm not looking through it, looking at it as through rose-tinted glasses at all. It's just a bit of sarcasm. That's all he's saying. He just said one of his references was Marcus Rashford, in the respect of his social media stuff, what he does about pushing, what do you call it? He's getting free school meals and stuff like that. He's like a saviour, isn't he? He's always on social media. He's like the new sort of, he's got an MBE and all that. He's a new hero, isn't he, sort of thing. So you can't criticise him. And all he was doing was having a go. And he won't be nasty, just as if we should have been practising penalties rather than going on about social issues all the time. Leave those to to other people. You should just concentrate on playing football, which is true.
Yeah, spot on. But yeah, I think for quite a while that Andrew Lawrence has been one of the funniest guys on YouTube. He's been hilarious. Always really good takes he has, and he's like you say, he's not being offensive. He's just being sarcastic a lot of the time, but he's funny, genuinely funny, and that's why he's been attacked.
Well, that's the thing about it is as English, Scottish people, British people all together, we've got a great sense of humour, and most British people, maybe not now, but in times gone by, we always had a great sense of humour, didn't we? Always used to take the piss out of each other, and we never used to take ourselves too serious. But unfortunately, we don't live in that sort of era anymore. I think them days have gone, and everything's about offence. The slight offence, then the slight offence, and it gets weaponised and it gets put into a category, which is which we've seen in the last sort of 24 hours or something. So there's going to be a lot more stuff happening behind the scenes. Like that's what I think. And I think we haven't heard the last of this. I'll just see how it goes the rest of the week. And like I said, on Telegram, it's completely different because everybody's pushing back. Everybody's being quite frank about what their opinions are about what's going on. But when you're on like normie sort of sites like Twitter, it's a minefield, isn't it? You just can't say out, can you? Because you just get taken down. Anything you say now, it's just that's what it's like.
To be totally honest, I completely forgot all about the game last night. So I went had an early night. Thought nothing of it. Got up this morning. I was up at 4:30 this morning. Went straight onto Telegram and I started seeing what was happening. And it would have been like you say. Either way, it would have been weaponised towards us. So no matter what the outcome was, but I think England got the best outcome yesterday because they would have eclipsed 1966. But sports is going that way anyway. But that brings us along to kind of another reason why I've started to do these kind of streams, and that's like the failure of like anything mainstream to remotely go near anything that we find important, and when they do, it's often twisted around so badly to give us this clown world, that we're in. So. And that's what I was saying, sorry. And so I was thinking, look, see how you craft your news articles, because your channel is one channel that I do go to, because I know that anything that you're putting out there, you've done your due diligence on it and that. But I've found, and have you found that as you've grown on through this, that a lot of past sources, for example, the BBC mainstream, have kind of faded away?
Yeah, I think for myself, in respect of social media, it's the sort of stuff I used to cover or still cover to a degree. And like I've sort of championed sort of local news. I think that's important. Years ago, local news wasn't as politicised as it is now. It is sort of following the merry-go-round of the rest of the sort of mainstream media platforms and outlets. But that's always been a great thing for me. I've always championed local news. I think you should get it out there. And like I said, again, I've said this often now, you look at the backstory of some news stories, you do your own digging and just use social media for what you can get out. And like you can talk about illegal immigrants, you can go back to a story, you can do a lot of crime stuff, what I've done over the years. I've always gone back into certain news articles, going back on particular issues, going back years, and you can formulate a sort of thing. But I do find now that in recent years, and especially in Scotland, there's like I referenced, there's 5 stories I've talked about when I posted on Twitter where they seem to be pushing back against, like even putting pictures out of suspects, for example, or well, not suspects, but more when they've been charged and they've actually been sent to prison. So they usually always have a picture of somebody to tell you, the description, so you can see this particular person. I've noticed that a lot in Scotland, and I've noticed it I think it's Nottinghamshire Police, one of the police forces in England now are starting to do that. I think it's either Peterborough or Nottinghamshire Police. I'm sure it's Peterborough more than anywhere. And what they're doing now, there's been 2 cases recently of asylum seekers. One was a asylum seeker, and one was, I think they were both asylum seekers. They got one for rapes, and they never released their images. And that happens a lot in Scotland. There were 5 cases, I think I posted in 2019, and I talked about this on Twitter. And I think when I did a live stream, I talked about it a couple of years ago. Where's the images of these people? And I see a lot of that stuff happening now with mainstream media. I know there's a sort of thing they take where they don't have to post, and we don't, you know, even the police can be reluctant to post stuff after they've been charged. But if you don't go into that sort of depth for looking into certain stories, you never find out how these people are, because you're just looking at a name sometimes. And sometimes people can't put the name and the article together and say, well, why are these people here? Why have they come here? And I do find that it's quite insidious, a lot of the mainstream media, in the respect to what's happening in this country, how they try to hide the truth. And again, with local news, it'll stay local, it won't go national. Much the same as what's happened. There's been a few things what have happened this week in respect of news, or last week, and I'll just stay local. It won't go forward. It won't go like national news. I don't think I answered your question then either.
No, but you did that. But it's all part of it, isn't it? But can you think back to the time when you made that switch from mainstream media to other sources?
Yeah, I think, like I said, for myself, I think I still use mainstream media, but in the respect of sort of news articles, like I said, what I used to find, and I find a lot of stuff now is just on, like, not blogs, but on actually online news. And I've always gone to these sort of like strange, as you could say, strange online news. What do you call it? Not mainstream online news, but like the left. There's one called Canary, for example. That's very left wing. And you got all these sort of other outlets who are really used. They take donations, for example. So you get a lot of good news stories from there. Then, like I said to you before, I've got a news link, and I use this news link, and I sort of I've moderated it, and sort of stuff, the news I'm after, it'll come up, and it sort of flags all the news up. It's really good. So I get a lot of stories out, a lot of political stuff, a lot of stuff about sort of obscure stuff. And I sort of use that more than anything else. And what I'll try to do in some cases, when I do, like, I reference this on Saturday when I did the live stream, I'll get you might get a mainstream news article about a particular story, but then, like I said, you can go to the backstory and you can get a little bit more information by digging into where they get that information from, sort of thing. So, and a lot of times you'll find they use certain online news outlets, but not many people actually go to these online news outlets. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I used to do a lot of. Don't do it as much now, to be honest, because I'm not going to drop Telegram, but I think I'm going to sort of fade out of it, to be honest with you. I just don't know. It gets a little bit boring. But when it comes to other people, following people, like I said, the few guys in the chat I follow. I think most people in the chat, they've got YouTube channels, I follow them. And I like to see what other people say. And I've said this before, like, I know Woodland is there, Scott Sarmer, Chief Moody, etc., and other people as well. If I've not mentioned you, I apologise. But it's good to see another person's perspective on a particular news issue, because we don't all live in the same town. We like to see some guys from Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, or whatever. And we've all got a different perspective on the news, and I think that's really important to just hear and listen to other people, what they're saying as well. You know, it's not all about yourself, because sometimes you can walk away from I do anyway. I can walk away from a live stream and think, well, I never thought about that before, or I've never thought as in depth about a particular issue, sort of thing. Because a lot of times you're just scratching the surface, aren't we, about a lot of stuff what's going on at the moment. So it's good to always, I think it's good to hear a different person's perspective. But I prefer to listen to people who are more relatable. And what I mean by that is just sort of similar background to myself, because I see things very similar to myself. That might seem a little bit class orientated, but that's how I see things, to be honest, at that sort of level. And I'm not trying to besmirch myself, and Galileo's tongue as well. I know you haven't done a live stream, have you, for a while, Galileo? But when people like that talk, and like I said, from a different perspective, I think it's good, it's engaging, because you're seeing it from a different perspective. And again, age comes into it, because some people are younger and they look at things different as well. So there's loads of things out there for you, depending on some people like to listen and watch a lot more stuff on YouTube than they do news, for example. But I'm the opposite. I like to, and not as much as you used to do, but I used to spend hours every day looking just through all the news. And even sometimes not getting the news, not even posting something, just to look at the news, what was happening. But it wasn't necessarily national news. It was just, like you said, a lot of offbeat news stories and what was happening local. And even in American sort of stuff, I like to look at a lot. I used to follow a lot of local news in America. So there used to be a lot of blog sites, but unfortunately, they've all been taken down then. I'm going on a bit, Sam. You should rein me in.
No, I think quite all right, mate. I think Sense Communum, he's just had to on the nose there. Whenever I see a story in the mainstream media, I usually flip the narrative and accept that as reality. That's the way I see it. So I went from, I used to cover, I'd be on ITV, BBC, RT, the lot, but it got to a point, and I can kind of put my finger on it. It was round about the time of the Scottish referendum when Nick Robinson had lied basically about Alex Salmond, because Alex Salmond he'd answered his question, he went into like an in-depth answer. I watched the live stream, but when it got to the 1 o'clock news, that wasn't what Nick Robinson said, and there was a big he kicked off up the road about it and that. No, but round about that time, I just switched off from mainstream completely, because it's not even as if they're giving you a tinted view of what's happening. It's like what Sensum said. It's completely the other way around. No. Plus,
Yeah,
sorry, anyway, I was going to say, if you nip on Twitter, you're going to find the news. I found back then as well, anyway, that usually Twitter will have it first before the news comes around. So it'll be reported on Twitter. That's where you get the conversations and people dropping in with like perhaps video clips or links to prove what's being said. Know what I mean? That's a great thing as well about going on Paul on 4chan. They too, you can see the conversation, you can see what evidence is being presented, and I find that a hell of a lot better than just sitting being fed a one-way dialogue from the TV. No.
Yeah, I think like we said, we talked about this before, haven't we? But it's like a lot of people come home from work. Traditionally, sort of my dad used to do when I was years ago. He'd come home from work, have a quick wash, come downstairs. Traditionally, my mum would come out with tea. Then he'd be watching. The first thing he'd put on the news. It might be like I think the news might have been on at 5:30, then at 6 o'clock. So everybody used to watch the BBC news. It was an institutional news. That's what you watched. And sometimes you might put it onto ITV news because it was different time. It had the local news, and that's what I were brought. I think most people were the same. But now, obviously, there's that many different ways to get information. Like I said, Twitter. Then you can go onto Instagram, Facebook. But like I said, Twitter is probably the most. Well, I think it's the most popular one in getting the news out there before, like you said, the mainstream outlets. And like you said, it was probably going to see now what's happened in the last 24 hours. We're going to see a lot of, again, mainstream news outlets twisting it and, pushing the same narrative. But at least, I suppose, on Twitter, you are seeing a different perspective. It's a bit woke. But then that's again.
In saying that, but I'm pretty sure that the N-word trended on Twitter last night before they shut it down and it got replaced.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can see it's there now because there's been like people have taken photographs, haven't they, of people's accounts. There's been a lot of stuff said. I think a lot of people are pretty angry, and it's just like you say. It's just I think for a lot of young people as well. I don't think they don't follow like we did the BBC and stuff, that type of news. I think it's more everybody now. Most people now, it's all social media sort of orientated news. And that sends you down all these different alleyways, doesn't it? All these different where you can go. Like I said, if you want to watch people have got an articulating a point of news, and there's people now on YouTube who they're in 24 hours of news stories up, and they're actually analysing it and doing like their own stream about it, or doing like a short video about it, sort of thing. So and people are more interested in that because again, it's pushing against the narrative what mainstream media is pushing, and it's giving again a fresh perspective on some news issues, and like what's happening at Dover is a good example for us all, really, because we've seen how insidious it is. Because if it wasn't for certain people, individuals, Steve Laws, people like Active Patriot doing this stuff, we wouldn't have a clue what's going on unless you live down there. And the media now,
that's absolutely on the button.
Yeah,
that's see when you can go from watching a live stream and actually observing what's going on, and then you catch the news at 1 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and then they tell you a completely different story. It's just I found that the BBC it just has to go. It's not worth watching.
Well, they don't cover it. They only cover it now and then. That's the thing about it. It's not because it's now considered not a newsworthy story anymore. So my opinion is people higher up are sort of pushing, again, the agenda sort of situation where so we're not going to post this story about 250 illegal immigrants coming over on Sunday. What we'll do is that'll get buried away because it's all about the football thing, the COVID thing. But what we'll do is we'll give it a couple more days and we'll post some if any more to come over, and if they've got children, etc. Because it pulls at everybody's heartstrings, and we'll call them refugees when they're illegal immigrants, etc. everybody's seeing that now for what it is. And when you see Steve Laws and other people posting stuff out, they're actually stopping people to actually even film now and make it harder for people to actually film, etc. You know, there's something behind the scenes there. And again, when there's nobody in mainstream media who can reference the BBC, Sky News, and coming out and saying, well, this is ridiculous. People should be allowed to actually film there. They're all sort of in cahoots with this. They're saying, well, are these independent journalists now? That's what they don't want in this country. They don't want people, independent journalists, reporters, or whatever you want to have you call them. They don't want people like that in this country because they don't want people highlighting what's really going on. They want everybody to be fixated with the BBC, a bit of Instagram, a bit of some of what's trending on Twitter or TikTok. That's what they just want people to do. They don't want people to challenge the narrative and think outside the box. And like I said, a lot of people don't do it. They'll take the news for what it is. They won't sort of think, well, I don't really think that's right. They'll say, oh yeah, it must be right because Sky News is saying, or Channel 4 News is saying it. I don't think everybody's like that. I think COVID has awakened a lot of people up as well because obviously we've seen a lot of footage from London and that doesn't get any coverage at all, whether you're into COVID or not, but it gets very little coverage, that. And some of the crowds that have turned up there have been phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? I find that quite strange as well. And I think ordinary people do because, like you said, they'll see it on their iPhones and look at all those people in London, and they might put two and two together and look at BBC News or ITV. What I'm saying, why is there no news about what's happening in London? Because it's happened a lot. To my knowledge, it's 3-4 times, if not more. And these big crowds turning up, on a monthly or in some cases a weekly basis, but it gets very little attention. The only time it gets attention when police come and start arresting people, then it makes out those people to be bad. They're terrible. That's a good example. You say now they manipulate the news.
That's a great thing about everybody having an iPhone, having a smartphone. That everybody is potentially their own media. They are their own reporter. They can just open their phone up and start recording what's happening and post that. You know what I mean?
But it happens all the time, doesn't it? Like you said, with people now sharing stuff onto different social media platforms. A lot of them originate, they're going to TikTok now. A lot of people put stuff onto Instagram, it'll end up being on Twitter, then it ends up getting onto Telegram, Facebook, etc. And it's all over. Like a news story, in theory, you could post a video, and within 5 minutes, it could be potentially hundreds of thousands of people could be viewing that video. So they can't stop that. They probably will try it at one point. They will try to stop it.
That's what I think is the brilliant thing about the internet and that, being online, the ability to do that. At the moment we've still got that ability, but to just put that stuff out there and give information, just let people know what's happening. I just brought my good friend Anne into the stream. All right, folks, this is my good friend Anne, who'll be over the course of the next couple of weeks, having a chat about what we can't chat about. So, Anne, do you want to just say hello, mate?
Hello, how's it going?
Cool. How's that sound in the chat, boys? His audio sound all right? You sound kind of quiet, mate, I sound.
What about now?
That better? Quiet? Sounds all right. How's that sound to you, lad? Bonnie lad?
Yeah, it sounds okay.
Sound all right, mate?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I'm already on my headphones, so.
Okay. So, aye. So, were you listening to what we were saying there, Ant?
I was trying to do, but it kept closing on me.
Oh, in the mobile.
And you're going a bit robotic on my end as well. So.
You sound okay. Sound is.
I was on about you two. You two are going a bit robotic on my end, so I couldn't really hear properly.
Oh, mate, that's your end, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, bear with us, mate. Bear with us. So
I'm going to find this now.
Cool. What we were saying, but it's potentially everybody has their own reporter, so we can get this stuff out here. You know what I mean? And start showing what's actually happening.
I still can hear you properly. And there we are. That sounds better.
That better, mate. So the point I was trying to get to is we are our own news. We can make our own news, can't we? Especially those of us that pay attention. Know what I mean? Because there's quite a few lads that I've seen their live streams, so they're legit. So from that, based on that, no, I would take what they say with more credence than I would, say, for example, any other like Joe blogs. No, but through the years, I've found over the last couple of years, I found there's certain lads that I would always go back to and just listen for their take on it, as opposed to listening to the BBC or the ITV.
Well, I haven't watched the BBC or ITV for years, mate. For over a decade now. I haven't watched the mainstream news. It's always just been rubbish, mate. Sweetly biased, I find.
See, you get to a point, but I mean, I got to a point and I think news will just not listen to it because it's not worth listening to. There's other channels that there are, like channels on YouTube, for example, that do a hell of a lot better. For a long time on YouTube, UK Column was a hell of a lot better than watching BBC News.
Oh, UK Column is brilliant. I watch them most days, to be fair.
I started watching them this afternoon, but I was a bit late. They are streaming on Odyssey now, by the way, folks. So for those, I don't know if you've watched a UK Column, I can recommend, definitely. Do you watch a UK Column, lad?
No, like I said, I don't watch that much stuff on YouTube. Like I said, I think for myself, in the respect of, say I'm posting stuff on Telegram, I might spend a couple of hours doing that on a daily basis, or sometimes longer. I'm always doing other stuff, so I don't have time really to listen to a lot of stuff or watch a lot of stuff on YouTube like I used to do. Like my previous job, I used to download it all, the audio from live streams or even little videos what people used to make. I used to listen to my work, they're absolutely brilliant. So I like that. People listen to like music and I'm listening to some guy talking about, the state that, what's happening in this country. It was brilliant. I never used to tell people what I was listening to. So I'm just listening to just a bit of music. So I sort of missed that because I think that passed me day away as well. But at the moment, I'm not saying very selective. I just don't have that time to listen to it, to be honest. Like I said, I listened to Scott's Armour stream last night with football and same with Chief Moody. I didn't catch it all, went back to it today sort of thing. But a lot of time what I do is I actually just download the audio and put it onto my phone. I've got an old phone, I haven't got a smartphone, and I just listen to it through a speaker while I'm on computer. Sounds a bit strange that to people, but I've got an old phone and my computer's not brilliant. That's why I do it. So, and that's what I used to do a lot when I used to. Sometimes just when I go, I don't use it. What did I used to? Yeah, I used to go to the gym. When I used to go to the gym, I used to listen to strange stuff as well. But it's not strange stuff. It was just at the time. But I just find this sort of last year or so, I just I don't watch as many stuff as I used to do. I've watched a couple of streams on Odyssey. Odyssey's not too bad. Anybody who's not on Odyssey, it's worth giving it a shout when you see somebody doing a stream on. I thought it was quite good.
Oh, brilliant! That's a brilliant platform. That is where UK Column are at the moment. Because
yeah, I think it's good.
Off YouTube. Excellent. A lot more interactive as well compared to YouTube, for example.
I think, like you said there, I think a lot of people who are quite active doing live streams or they're doing edgy sort of stuff, I think they will end up on Odyssey. So, for me personally, I'll give it a shout out because I've done a stream on Odyssey and I've watched about 3 different streams. I've no problem with buffering. Everything were perfect. Unlike I've had issues with DLive in the past and some other platforms that have done live streams. But yeah, Odyssey's quite good. Yeah, there's a few more things that could be added to it, but it's a work in progress. But I think it's like anything. It's not going to be 100% perfect. And the problem is with a lot of people, I suppose, you always try to compare it with YouTube, and you can't really. YouTube's YouTube, and it is what it is, isn't it? So you're going
I think it holds up to YouTube. I
do in the respect of thing, but I think a lot of people like there's a little bit more you can do with YouTube if you like the sort of technical side to it, and you can with the chat. I think you can interact a little bit better, I suppose, with YouTube. There is things you can do, but it's not end at world sort of stuff. I still think, like I say, we Odyssey. Again, I think it's good. I think it's a lot better than, like I said, some of the stuff I've seen before with live streams. What I've been on myself, I think it's good, and I think it's hopefully going forward for a lot of people. They use it more because I think one day we might all end up on there anyway if you're still doing live streams or whatever.
I think it's a great, for example, watching Calamity on there for Bob Bag of the Week. It's a hell of a lot better than watching it on YouTube, but it can't really say anything. Whereas on Odyssey, you can just tell you as is. But I seen is it the Woodlander in the chat saying that? What was he saying about? Where is it? Sorry, I'm just scrolling back. Some of us are old as fuck. I see it. There's not an age on this thing, though. I mean, I was well old before I started getting even on Paul. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going on places like that. I think No, just click the link, go and have a look. It's like you'll see it's like old school Twitter. I found where people just say, well, you'll get the occasional people telling you to go like top yourself and that, but you just keep reading and it's quite interesting. You know what I mean? You'll get open conversations that you can't get on Twitter. You know what I mean? I don't so much. I don't know about. I don't use Gab so much, but I find I always go on there that I'm maybe comparing it to Twitter, but I can't see like the open conversations on there that you can, like you used to be able to do, for example, on Twitter, and as you do on Paul.
Yeah, like I said, I think with Twitter, my own experience with Twitter, obviously my main account or whatever was taken down, but it just happened obviously with the Trump thing, and it just happened to a lot of people, not just myself, obviously. But yeah, it's going to get worse than that. Obviously, they're going to be the more pushback against what people say. And like we were just talking about earlier on when you started the stream, for example, it's how things now, everything's taken out of context, and it's not even satire. It's everything you say now. Somebody could look at a sentence you put on Twitter now, and they could say, well, that's racist. I don't like that. Basically, being offended by what you're saying. And the way the platforms run, obviously the people on the left, that type of people, on the liberals, they've always got like 80-90% of sway. It seems to be on a lot of the mainstream sort of platforms. So, like you said, then it does get a bit frustrating for a lot of people when you just can't say what you can say, because a lot of stuff what we're talking about now, you're not going to not say it outside of social media, if you know what I mean. You're still going to say it, but you think you should be given the right to say it on social media. Everybody, in my opinion, is not stupid enough to come out and start saying stupid stuff about promoting hatred, promoting violence. You're just not going to do that, are you? But you should be allowed to have an opinion. And like you said, you do self-police yourself. You do actually self-censor yourself a lot more than you used to do. That's what I find strange. Because a lot of times when you say something on a live stream, sometimes, even though it might be nothing, you're thinking about 30 seconds later, or should I have said that? You know what I mean? That's frightening times you're living in, because it's like
frightening is done. You're spot on. No, sorry, mate.
Yeah. So that's, I think there's a lot of self-censorship with a lot of people, and even when you actually post something on even any sort of platform now, even if it's on Telegram, to some respects, because I'm just the same as I was on Twitter. I don't start saying silly stuff. I just say the same stuff as what I used to do on Twitter. So there's no difference in what the content I post. But like I said earlier on, I'm probably going to ease off a lot of stuff now on Telegram anyway. But there comes to a point on Telegram you can't what do you call it now? You can't convert you can't convert the converted, because I think most people on Telegram know what's going on. So it is a bit futile exercise sometimes. But like I said, I still like Telegram's okay, because I think you can post stuff and not feel like you're going to get your account taken down because you're highlighting a particular issue in a particular town, whether that be grooming gangs or violence in a particular area of a particular set of people. So like you said, but on Twitter, you're always thinking, well, I better not do that. I better not post that again, because somebody might say, oh, that's racist. That's not right. What he's saying, it's wrong. What he's highlighting. So I know where you're coming from with that when it comes to social media, like jumping on new platforms and watching different people with a different perspectives and being free what they say, sort of thing. But I'm always a bit careful, even if you go onto some of these platforms, because especially in this country, you just still got to be careful what you say.
See, this is what I do not like having to censor yourself. You know what I mean? I think that's like it's frightening. You know what I mean? It's like you can't actually. Still, this is what I want to talk about. You know what I mean? You can't talk about how many chromosomes a male has, or how many chromosomes a female has, or what a male or a female biologically is. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things that I've found watching psychologists and that, quite a few of them on like YouTube. I used to watch quite a bit of I watched a bit of Jordan Peterson and Jesse Lee Peterson, but Jordan Peterson and Gadsad, and I found them their psychology and that, especially Gadsad, the way his histories in marketing. So his approach to marketing is psychological, and I find that fascinating. But in finding that stuff like that out, there is biological differences in male and female brains and the way they operate, and there's reason for that. You know what I mean? it's there. It's a thing, but we can't discuss it. And if you do discuss it, somehow that's hateful. And that's you need to be locked away for that. That's remarkable. And I can't be doing that. I can't self-censor myself. I can't get my face around that word today. I can't self-censor myself on that.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is right, because the whole thing about this sort of sexualization or whatever you want to go down that road is it's not necessarily self-censoring yourself, because what's right's right in my opinion, and what's wrong's wrong. And like you just said then, what you're just saying, something factual. It's a fact. It's a fact. And that's the thing. What we like I said, you were talking about at the beginning about how the media or individuals manipulate the facts, but you're not given a platform to say them facts sometimes, because, like I said, again, I'll reference Twitter, Facebook, or whatever. You start talking stuff, and it's much the same as COVID. That's one of the easiest ways to get deplatformed. Talking about going against the agenda in the sense of transgenderism. That's a real. If you start shouting out on social media, you just get your account taken down. It's amazing. Reading about it's one of the most. It's the most divisive subject you can talk about on social media. That and likes of COVID at the moment, and obviously the issues with racism and Black Lives Matter. But you talk about anything what don't go with the narrative, what is popular with people. That's it. You'll just get your account taken down. And if you start going a little bit further, as we've seen a couple of cases in recent years in the UK, people have been arrested and charged with, hateful comments, against transgender. I'm saying that, what's an example? A man can't be a woman. That can get you into trouble. It's just hideous. But it's facts, like you said, Tam. We're dealing with facts. It's not fairy tales. It's facts.
No, it's based on scientific evidence and that. No, we already have a name.
Based on the laws of nature as well, isn't it? Really, that's how.
You're back, big man.
Yeah. Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties. And
cool.
All of that with transgenderism, isn't it? It's all going against the laws of nature, isn't it? Everything's there. We've got a natural system for things. So, and the thing is, you can't change yourself from anything. You are what you are, aren't you? When you're born, that's it.
But that's not even that. It's like you're saying the differences between male and female, and the differences between black and white as well. I mean, these things exist.
Oh yeah, you can't talk about the differences in races, mate. Ooh.
Yeah, I know, but it's these are bad. We need to know these differences because you need to know who to target. You need to target some demographics. For example, if you want to treat, what is it blacks are prone to again?
Sickle cell, isn't it?
That's it, sickle cell. But you need to know who to treat, don't you? So you need you need to know these things.
Exactly.
But you can't talk about them. It's like that army advert from they were looking for more mixed race donors because look, you need a mixed race person to donate is it marrow and whatnot and blood to another mixed race person. Know what I mean? But the races are all the same. But no, I can't just put white man's blood in a black man's body and vice versa, you know what I mean? So these things are essential to know, to talk about. We can't just brush them away, you know what I mean?
Well, like you said, I agree with what you're saying now, but the thing is then, I'll say something silly, but we're not buzzwords. We're all the same, aren't we? Like you said, I just said the same. We're all the same anyway, so it don't make any difference. It don't matter. I know where you're coming from with this stuff. It's much the same as a lot of the Muslim ladies. They've got, what do they get now? They get really high diabetes on the Muslim community has, and that's a lot to do with the diet with rice and stuff like that. But we're not allowed to talk about that. And there's other stuff there. Is it lack of vitamin D? Is it because of the sun? Because they're always dressed up in burqas and stuff like that. And that's really bad. You bring a little bit into that. I think it's vitamin C. Is it? I might be wrong. Is it vitamin D? Lack of sun? Is it?
Yeah, vitamin D.
And that's a big problem in the Muslim community. Much the same as marrying first cousins, but we're all the same now. We're not allowed to talk about it, and that's a massive problem. Massive problem where I live. We call it
co-sanguineous marriages. Yeah.
And we call them Speedy Gonzales because they've all got big buck teeth, and you can tell like the first cousins. It's just there's something about them. I can't explain what I mean, but genetically, they all look the same, but they've all got like disformities, like big ears and like big teeth, big buck teeth, and that's what we used to call them when we were young, Speedy Gonzales. And but that's an issue you can't talk about it. You know what I mean? It's a taboo subject, especially where I live. And stuff like that. But like you said there, Tam, and there's things you should be talked about, and the issue should be raised. We shouldn't be having first cousin marriages anyway. I thought it was still illegal in this country.
like co-sanguineous marriages, I think they call that.
Yeah.
They had a figure is like 70% or something like that in that particular demographic.
It's high, like you say. It's high.
But not even going to that, just because that's like that is genuine. That's a fact. What we're talking about. But even just to say, like, a lot of the reason that I started going down this route was because my son was coming home and telling me things like, for example, boys can become girls and girls can become boys. You know what I mean? And I had to, it wasn't until then I started to read up on. Well, I read the bell curve and I read a few different books. Steven Pinker's book I read. Trying to think of the name of it now.
Blank Slate.
That's the one. Yeah, The Blank Slate by Steve Pinker. I think I read about half of it now. But these books are there, and the evidence is just abundant, especially in the bell curve, for example. I'd recommend everybody read that book. All you need to do is read the first 19 pages. The following two, I think it's four sections it's cut into. The other 3 parts are the in-depth studies. You can read them if you want, but the overview is in the first 19 pages. And the stuff in that's the stats are mad. Stuff I didn't know. But bone density and muscle structure and IQ, obviously. But these are all facts.
I knew about the muscle twitch and all that. Bone density before, but I didn't know about the IQ bit. Obviously,
but see, between men and women as well, and especially the IQ and the reason for it. And these are facts, no? And the school wasn't. They couldn't present any of that because boys can become girls and girls can become boys. So it doesn't matter what hemisphere of your brain that you use, or what your chromosomes are, or how good you are at concentrating compared to females. But all these things are relevant and true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they're relevant, but it's things in the respect you just take them for granted, and you don't challenge what's to me. At least might seem a little bit ignorant in what I'm saying, or not high, up there sort of thing. But the thing to me is it's what's right, or what's normal's normal. So when you're saying stuff going against the I don't know, it frustrates me sometimes. I don't know, because I'm maybe getting older, but when you say things what are right, and the sense you've always believed in what's right, and you understand what's right, and there's like this agenda now, everything what we've been brought up with, myself, it's just everything what I've been brought up with, I've got to look back and say, well, it's all wrong. The norm, like you said, about boys being boys and girls being girls and sort of thing, it's just now, everything's gone, it's on its head, everything. And all this sort of thing about ourselves as identity, who we are as a people, it's almost every day, every week, you're saying something where, well, no, it's not like that anymore. You didn't realise we're living in this sort of, like I always reference the word year zero. And it's hard sometimes as you're getting older to sort of, I don't know, because I think you've got, myself, I think this is what I say, I've got like a foot in the past and I've obviously got a foot going forward sort of thing. So you've got more, you can remember when it was a lot better and things were normal. And when you're reading about a lot of these stories and what you're just saying there, Scottish Time, about challenging, but you're not challenging anything. You're just stating the facts. But you're not. It's sort of prohibited now to state facts basically, or your point of view. If because we're not always right. We've all got different points of view, and sometimes we're wrong. But it's almost now we're not given that sort of that platform anymore to sort of challenge things anymore. It's almost we've got to go along with it. And if you don't go along with it, you're like the odd man out, if you know what I mean.
But I think humans, that's another thing, humans are like that. No, humans will just go along and get along. But there has to be somebody that stands out, like, for example, with the Emperor in his new clothes, there has to be somebody that says, you know what I mean? Hang on a minute. You know what I mean? That's where we come in. No. Need to say, hang on a second, that's not happening. I mean,
yeah, but anybody who does in the set, who's got a big, let's just say, in the spotlight, look at Sharon Davis. Look at the stick she got when she come out about transgenderism in sport, and much the same as J.K. Rowling. Is it when she said that? Didn't she say that men can't have periods or something? And she got something like that. When it's something absolutely mental, and they all disavowed her, didn't they? All these people, and that's what it's like. Every time somebody sort of stands up. I know it's only words. But like I said, it is a bit weak, some of these people, but they just seem to double down then, or they just seem to say, yeah, I got that wrong there. Yeah, men can have periods. it's just idiot.
It's madness. You just need to say, look, read a biology book. I know.
Yeah, it's just. I can't get my head around it. What's going on? Like I said, I'm probably a little bit old-fashioned in some respects, but I don't think I'm old-fashioned. I'm not that far behind the times. Like we were talking about this on Saturday about the LGBTQs and all that. How many more numbers or letters, what are being added on all the time? It confuses everybody. Everybody's sort of just not with it anymore. I just think but it's almost like people have accepted it. Too many people have accepted it, especially in schools. Like you were saying about your son, I was quite fortunate when my two oldest anyway. They never really happened. And I sent my kids to a Catholic school, and they didn't really get pushed that. What do you call it? They didn't get pushed that sort of sexualization and stuff like that. But I know other schools where it's a lot more promoted than it is maybe at the school I sent my kids to. So that's one of the reasons I sent them to that school, to be honest with you, because I knew they'd get a bit of a religious teaching. And they won't be getting that sort of dogma about the sexualisation being pushed 24/7 like it is in some other schools.
I think it's a fair comment that people getting shot down that's bigger than any of us. I still think it's something that we need to keep repeating, because, I mean, how can we exist in a world that has things such as hate facts? How can you have a hate fact? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How's that possible? I think when you point out to people that, how can a fact be hateful? How can it be a hate? What is a hate fact? You know what I mean? Most people come around and go, it don't make sense. You don't think that, Ant?
What about facts?
Yeah, you think most people are pretty reasonable when you explain that round like that way?
I don't know, to be fair, these days. I'm not really sure. Some people receive it well, some people don't. It's just... I really don't know. I think it's harder and harder to lay down facts in front of people these days, because they always find some sort of... What's the word? Some sort of... something to fight back with you at. It's like my old man, I'll get into some stuff with him. And he'll be like, he'll agree with me. He'll be like, oh, yeah. And then he'll be like, but this, but that. Do you know what I mean? So they've always got to find a way to put their own opinion to make those facts sound bad. If that makes sense?
I think it's presentation as well, and who's giving you the facts. You know what I mean? But also, how's it described again? You don't tell somebody the facts, you lead them towards it and let them make their own leap towards it.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you signpost people towards things, then I think they're more willing to look at it themselves, rather than, because if you're just telling them this is this, this is that, this is this, a lot of the time people just think, no, you're just talking a load of twaddle, really. So then they just don't listen to you.
There's a name for that, no?
You know what I mean?
There's definitely a name for that. I'm forgetting. Which philosopher is that again? It'll come to me.
I'm trying to find
Any chance? We've gone almost an hour. How are you lads for time?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just like you're saying something about the hate facts, sort of, you referenced that about facts, and like how you lead people onto, not necessarily saying you're right, how do you point them in the right direction or try to influence them in some way. So I suppose if you've got you're on social media, in some respects, regardless of your account, whether you've got 10 followers, a million followers, you are a social influencer and you can bring people over to your point of view. But like I said, I think you've got to be quite subtle about it. I think if you're too direct, it puts people off. And that's the thing I used to do on Twitter all those years was I post stuff about sort of normie stuff, like a cat stuck up a tree, for example. It's a poor example. Oh, look at that cat, he stuck up a tree. Then the next minute, and then, the next post, I might post about something about demographic changes, but very subtly. I wouldn't just say, look at this, what's happening, because it just puts people off. Even though it's happening, a lot of people, they accept and they can't accept it at the same time. I can't explain what I mean by that. They know it's happening, but they don't want to take it on board as much. But if you do it in a sort of subtle way, and you sort of bring them onto your point of view, and you sort of give examples, like you can talk about the high street. I talk about that a lot, and references to other people outside of social media. So just go to your normal high street now. in most places, towns, not necessarily cities, but towns, and look at your high street compared to what it was like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. That's a fact of life, what's happened. And you've seen the demographic changes in your particular, and that street alone, the 10 shops, there's none left, there's no indigenous shops left. That's a fact of life. How you convey that to people is just, they say that themselves. So you're not having to tell them the message. Now, I sort of do it very subtly on social media. Again, I'll reference when I was on Twitter, and that's what I used to highlight stuff like that. You make a video about it, but you don't do it in a sort of forceful way, because again, people don't like that. Some people will accept it and say, yeah, I'll go along with that. Because again, you don't have to convert the converted. You try to sort of get people to realise what's actually happening on their own doorstep. And I think that's a big challenge, because I think local issues, we can always reference as own town, for example. You've done it before, Scottish town. And it doesn't matter where you live now in this country, and if you live in a town or a particular area, it's very similar to somewhere else now. So we're all talking about the same sort of demographic changes within our own area. And I just think bringing that message over, you can talk about it like we're doing now. Most people know what you're on about, and they'll sort of agree with you to an extent. But so when you go into the normie world, I think it's just a bit more challenging. You just got to be a bit more subtle to bring people over, and you can do it bit by bit. People will get on board with it, because when you highlight something and they'll say, yeah, I never thought about it. This is what I was saying earlier on. Sometimes you listen to different people on live streams and they actually say something. I don't know, it sort of sinks in with me sometimes, and sometimes I might not agree with what they said. Well, I don't agree with that, but what you said there, you were spot on. I've never thought about that before. That's why I think it's important that people do live streams, do talk about certain issues. It doesn't have to be about big issues. It can be like local issues, because we're all sort of in the same sort of bracket. We might be the social class, well, maybe like working class men or whatever, but we all can relate to it, if you know what I mean. Sorry about going on again.
No, right, mate. See, I find it kind of frustrating, because I've never been on the right. I was always on the left. No, I'm from Glasgow. I'm a Celtic fan. No, family's all Labour. My cousin's actually an SNP MSP. Know what I mean? So it's only recently, like I'm saying, in the past few years, that I've came over to, well, I'm actually in the centre of when I do the political compass test now, but I sort of done like a U-bend from being on the left to now being effectively on the right. So I find it kind of frustrating that the things that I seen that woke me up, that other people don't see those things as well. Know what I mean? You know what I mean by that, Ant?
Yeah.
I think you're the. I've known.
Yeah, it's weird to me, because I was never really on the left to start with, but I just never knew where I stood. Mm. My views are always quite traditional and quite in tune with being what I class as right. Do you know what I mean? So I've never really been one of these that have been all for open borders, all this and all that. I've always thought, even back in the day, I think it was the early 2000s, even then I could see that we're being invaded, you know what I mean? And it's just, and I've always had that inkling, but it's when I moved to Plymouth with my sister and that, and then they sort of got into me, and I thought, oh yeah, I need to be a bit nicer, and that just didn't really work for me. And then you got me into all this stuff, and then I found my true calling, really.
Yes, yeah, I've got 4 brothers. I've got, and
yeah,
I sent everybody that I knew at the time when I was finding these things out I sent everybody these links, and Ant is the only guy that got back to me. He's like, oh yeah, you're right, man. Oh. So I was questioning my sanity when I started to discover, because obviously I was a sheep, basically. So I started to discover all these different outlets as well, like 4chan and stuff, where stuff isn't getting restricted. But I was like, yeah, share this to everybody. And then starting finding out, read this book, read that book. Know what I mean? Read Mein Kampf. No, you go through, you just go through a few different books, and my political outlook just totally changed, especially economics, man. I started to get more economically minded, into thinking about economics. That swung me onto the right hand side of the political compass. No. So anyway, lads, sorry. If I was
I'm going to say something. I just forgot what I was going to say. It was something I think what Ant just referenced as well. That's it. It's a bit of a metaphor, this, but I don't know what it is. I can't say it in the sense of we're when I went for a walk a couple of days ago and I was taking these photographs, etc., and I was just thinking about all the sheep, not in a sexual way, but I was walking past all these sheep. There are loads of sheep when I go walking, and it was really weird because every time you walk past a certain field, most of them would carry on eating grass. Then a handful would raise their head and look at you and wait till you went past them, then they go back to eating grass. Then every time it's kept happening, I was just thinking it sort of, I know this is a poor metaphor or a poor summarisation. I think that sort of equates to a lot of people, don't you think? There's that they'll just carry on regardless, they'll eat the grass sort of thing, and they won't look up and see what's going around them. That's what I'm trying to say. And I just found that quite funny with the sheep. You know, when people reference sheep, that we follow like sheep. But also it was just like, I was sort of equating it to a lot of people in society that they'll just carry on regardless. But there will be people, and I can class myself as one of those sort of sheep, who will raise his head and see what's going on around him, if you know, does that make sense? I was thinking about taking some photographs and doing a meme.
Yeah, no, that's another thing that I found out, look, as I fell down this hole, is RK selection theory. Don't find out about stuff like that. That kind of altered my perception of, politically, of things. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think RK theory was a good one, and what was the other one? Mouse Utopia as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I watched side by side.
Is it Cahoon's experiment? Have you heard that one, Bonnie lad?
What's that, sorry?
Have you ever heard of Mouse Utopia?
No.
This lad, Professor Cahoon, created a perfect mouse utopia. And what happened, you can watch it, you'll find it on YouTube. What happened is that they stopped the experiment because it started to spiral out of control. Everything went downhill fast. And they reckon it's analogous, is that the word, to humans? Because not they use mice to test, because they're like really genetically close to humans. And they reckon that once you take away people's drive, humans' drive, their need to get up in the morning and do things, that has a psychological effect, and things just start to spiral out of control. It was curious though, because some of the specimens from that Cahoon's experiment resembled some of the sexual LGBT groups that we have today. I think that some of them would abstain from sex, but they would look like perfect specimens, or another group were strictly homosexuals. It's definitely worth watching. The Cahoon's experiment, Mouse Utopia, and you can see that the similarities, I think, in the human population to what's.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, I can imagine. Yeah,
it's quite scary. But that's when you've taken away people's drive. You know what I mean? Is that a fair description?
Yeah.
You still there, Ant? You might muted. No,
he's muted. Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
I was just going to get
sorry, mate. I was just going to check to see if that was a fair description, if you've not seen it. By ending the chat, lads, if you haven't seen that, definitely have a look at it on YouTube. It's scary, no? And because people don't know what's good for them. You don't know. It's like, it's hard to explain. It's when I got in there, I watched a lot of psychology, and what's good for you is hard work. But people don't want to do hard work. They want to win the lottery and sit about doing nothing all day, or party all the time. You know what I mean? But it's actually good for you to get up in the morning, go to work, have like a stable. It's essential for your mental health as well. You know what I mean? But not a lot of people want to do that. No, they don't. No, they don't know what's good for them.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there with the mental health aspect. But I think, like I said, there's an old biblical saying about about working, isn't there? And it's just a natural thing, and it's a natural component of being who we are. We are workers, aren't we? In that respect, we have to work. We have to be what do you call it? Hunter gatherers and stuff like that in his previous lives, so a long time ago. But it's just how society's changed, hasn't it? I suppose it has completely changed. I suppose even in my era, compared to it like 30, 40 years ago, like it is now, it's just completely different. it's definitely turned on its head. Society values, like I said, work ethic. And they're on about working a 4-day week. They're pushing that at the moment. And it's like you said, what do people do with their spare time and stuff? You know, they've got to fill these voids up, haven't they? You know, some people it doesn't affect, but some people it does.
I think you can approach that as a mental health issue, that though, because you need, you know, because it's essential for your mental health that you have a not a strict regime, but you have a regime, a routine. You know what I mean? You're not up all night and sleeping all day.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's like exercise. People go to gym or go for a run or go for a walk, and that's what I try to do. I do that thing every second day. I go for a long walk. That's me for the day then. Because when I was in that COVID, when I was staying in for that, you know, that really got to me. That, I mean, like 2-3 months, I didn't go anywhere, and that was really bad, detrimental. You know, my mental health, everything. So there's a lot of people in the same situation. And that's the negative thing about COVID. It's not. I know it's talked about, but not really high up there, is it? When it comes to the COVID sort of things, a lot of people it's had really has a long-term effect. You know, the same as much with working at home as well. I know the government or some try to encourage that more people work from home, but it does have a sort of isolation effect because when you're at home working by yourself, or whatever, you're not socially interacting with people. You just sat there, well, probably I presume just sat there in front of a laptop or a computer. That can't be healthy as well.
Yeah, they say it is you're still socially interacting, but it's a different form of social interaction.
Well, without a doubt, it's like us talking now. Yeah, we're interacting, but it's not the same as, like I said, physically talking to somebody. Is it? You know, like talking to somebody in your house or out on the street or in the pub or whatever. It's totally different. That's
right. Yeah, it's because people still need that face-to-face contact, that human contact.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Well, we're all walking around with avatars over his faces.
I think that'll be coming soon, that, mate.
Yeah, just a big avatar. That'll be about it.
Yes, I just seen Sensim's comment in the chat there, and that's about the Mouse Utopia, and that's what we've got today. Netflix and takeouts. That's Mouse Utopia, mate, and that's what we've got.
That's it. People aren't even encouraged to go out and find the hobbies anymore, are they? They just sit in front of your TV, sit in front of your computer, and just waste your life away, really. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, you're right, because like when we were kids, we used to go stamp collecting. We used to go, we're always in forest doing stuff, in woodland doing stuff, making dens. But all the hobbies we used to have, you know, and a lot of them passed on to you. When you got older, you'd pass them on to your children, you know, the hobbies you used, you know, like I used to like doing airfix models when I was young. I did that when I got older, then I passed that on to my son. He did it for about a couple of years and he grew out of it, fair enough. But it's stuff like that. I know you take it for granted when you were younger, but a lot of stuff what I did when I was younger as hobbies. And we used to have, where I lived on the estate, we used to have this shed. It was like something in that. We used to put all the stuff in there. We used to have all these clubs. It was amazing when I look back. But nobody, like you said, we're all young'uns now, or even some of the adults who just sat there in front of, like I said, Netflix, TV, and like Ant said there, nobody's encouraging them to get off the backside. Because most adverts you see now, I don't want to tell you as such, but they're not encouraging people to stop watching television, which is supposed to defeat the object, having an advert and tell you to stop watching it. But like I said, they're still doing this fast food stuff, all the bad stuff. There's not really positive what you see coming out of the TV now. And there's too many channels. Like you said, you've got so many options now. If you want to sit in front of you can sit in front of YouTube all day and just watch the stuff all the time. But I think
that's something that I used to do quite a hell of a lot, but I don't do so much. But I still do. I don't sit in front of a TV watching YouTube a lot, but I've got BitChute open and Odyssey open quite often. Not on my laptop, but it's what I'm taking in. You know, I'm watching not only just news, but I'm watching, for example, maybe watching a bit of Robert Sefer or a bit of History Bro, or you know what I mean. Watching something I'm learning something from. You know what I mean?
You're not the average person, are you?
I wouldn't like to blow my own trumpet. You know what I mean, Paul?
But I mean, when it comes to YouTube and watching things on there, most people watching there, like top 10 this, top 5 this, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But at least you're on there learning something. Do you know?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I couldn't just sit and watch like Neighbours or Home and Away and all that. That's mind numbing, totally mind numbing, man. See, when you explain to people how these programs are scripted, how they're written, and I don't mean just obviously the narrative, but they write these episodes, these programs, so that you can guess what's going to happen to trick you into feeling clever. You know what I mean? And you see when you hear that, it's like, I can't watch that without being insulted. Then, you know what I mean? That's I can't remember where I heard that, but it's, I got into quite a lot of psychology and stuff on how movies and stuff like that are all put together. It's just propaganda, basically, that you're watching all the time, 24/7, no matter what side it's from or what it's for. But yeah, it's just the world we live in.
So do you think, like you said, I know I've seen some of your stuff you posted on your Telegram page, and it's much the same with Hollywood. I know, like I said, a lot of the guys in the chat, I don't really watch modern movies anymore because, like you said, you can see the agenda, the narrative straight away in most cases now. And what's your feelings about Hollywood, you guys? As it stands now, not the history of Hollywood, but as it stands now as an institution, and it's still a lot of people respect it, and a lot of people just still buy into this. Got to watch the latest movie sort of thing.
On you go on.
Movies. I do try and watch movies these days, but I get about half an hour into them, and they're just very lackluster these days. Obviously, because now we know you can notice what's going on with the agenda of the films and the people writing them. But there's no originality either. Once you watch something, it seems like you've seen that story 10 times already, and I just find it a mire of crap, really.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, mate. I find them these days, it's rare you'll find a decent film. No, and if you do, you're still going to need to put away, like you say, that diversity. No, so I watch a lot of older movies, but watching modern movies, I can't help but just analyse everything that's being put in front of me, because I know it's been put there for a reason. So I'm always trying to see like what the agenda is. You know what I mean, mate? See what's going on. But I don't know if watching Devon Stack's streams helps me, you know what I mean? Or it's a bad thing, because I get like him. You know, why is that there? And know what I mean? Perhaps
he's probably a contributing factor of ruining films for me as well.
I don't know, but because I'd already seen. Well, obviously, you can see these things in the media, you know what I mean? How it's playing out. It's a lot more obvious now, which is interesting when you go back and watch older movies. Say not only the ones that are unrestricted from all this modern nonsense, but the ones that are playing along to the narrative and how it played out back then, and it's just all very familiar. You know what I mean? Have you ever watched any of Black Pill's videos, Bonnie Lad?
No, you showed me about that book. If that's the same guy referencing about the book.
He wrote the book. Yeah,
that's when you first introduced him to. I've never heard of him, to be honest with you.
He's pretty good. He'll go through like various movies. For example, we've done a good one about Forrest Gump, and he'll show you at each point in the movie where they push the propaganda and how they're pushing it. And it's something that I've always thought Forrest Gump was, it's the kind of movie I could let my kid watch. You know what I mean? It's just a funny movie, I guess. No, it's Forrest Gump. And then I sat and watched his take on it, and it's pretty shocking. You know what I mean? But it just goes straight past you. It went straight past me to begin with. You know what I mean? But
that's a good example of what we were talking about earlier on about. It's great to look at a different person's perspective on something, because you just said it then, haven't you? I'd have been the same as you. Watch a movie, take it for the movie it is, but like we both said, reference the same movie. But when somebody else, like said, the Black Pill guy, whatever his name is, he's looked at it differently and give you another sort of perspective on it. So that is good about YouTube, because like I said, otherwise if you would never got that perspective, because like I said, it just went past you sort of thing. So there's a lot of stuff what I've watched over the years, and I've never taken it in, to be honest. You're similar to yourself, and somebody said, "Oh, by the way, did you realise it was about this and all that? And when you look at it for a second time or a third time, it just sort of sinks home a lot easily than it did the first time sort of thing. So no, I know where you're coming from with that. It's a good call that. So I might check that out, to be honest, because I love movies. I've been watching stuff before I come on. I like horror movies, and I was watching some people who looked perspective about old horror movies before I come on to the stream. So that really interesting. But it's not political stuff. It's more about interpretations of Dracula and vampires and stuff like that. It's good, or it's interesting if you like old movies like yourself.
Well, see, I've always been into movies, but his take definitely. I think his history is rooted in Hollywood. I think he worked over there a while ago, but he knows his stuff. But he's one of those guys you could just sit on his channel and watch episode after episode, just binge on him for a while. Don't you think, Ant?
Yeah, I used to I binged most of his when I first got into him. I think Forrest Gump was the first one I watched, actually. But yeah, I haven't watched much of his for ages, to be fair. For a while. I haven't watched much of anything for a while.
Yeah, he does a lot of streams and just puts his streams out. He was watching
He's not on YouTube that much anymore, is he? Or he's not on there at all,
Odyssey.
No.
Sorry. Yeah, Odyssey. And I can't recommend that highly enough, gents. Folks, Odyssey is a great wee platform. And there's a lot of people on there as well. But what was I getting to then? There's another lad as well, Robert Seffer. Any of you boys in the chats ever watched any of Robert Seffer stuff? Atlantean Gardens? What about yourself, Bonnie lad?
No. If I showed you my YouTube, but I actually thought it's mainly history. It's mainly like I love military history, ancient history, and like true crime stuff like that. And a few, like I said, all the guys in the chat, and there's about another 5 or 6 people I follow. I follow about 10 people when it comes to politics, and when it comes to like movie stuff or people do all their own content, it's always like horror movie stuff, old Universal sort of stuff. I'm not into that much, to be honest with you, so I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no, right, mate. So I was like I say, I used to binge quite a lot in them, but I'll catch a bit of Robert Seffer when I see his notification come up. I still follow a hell of a lot of people, but I've muted quite a lot, so I'll get selective notifications. So I'll always watch us. But very interesting stuff, especially when he goes into like Second World War and various occult stuff to do with it. No, interesting. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff. And you got a thumbs up in the chat, Robert Seffer. See, and I said this to you, Ant, didn't I? About Bob Seffer. His surname makes me scratch my nose. Yeah, it makes me, because there's a couple of different translations of it, and one of them's some Jewish book or something like that. And I thought for an author to have a name like that to take
to
do.
Persian, isn't it? Meaning light.
I've seen a couple of different.
I can't remember, light or something like that. But
quite a lot of what it says is quite risque, especially when it goes on about the history of the swastika, going back to like is it South America and that as well, and get it all over the place.
And history of races as well, isn't it? When he goes on about them, but not many people can get away with saying the things that he says.
Yeah, but what is he? What is he? Ologist? Not a paleontologist. Anthropologist, that's the one. Yeah, he's an anthropologist, so he's legit. But he does live in California, so. Atlantean Gardens is a great channel, Tom. Aye, I'm on it, mate. I'm on it. That's a good channel as well, that in the chat there. Steve Craig just dropped that Red Baron's audiobooks. That's a good channel, by the way, troops. Watch it on Odyssey as well when you get your shekels. Then you can go give the Baron your shekels for watching it. Cool. Aye. Any other channels you think recommend?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, you go up on it, lad.
I'm just trying. Like I said, it's probably follow what a lot of people in the chat do, and for me, it's sort of like I love like his history sort of stuff. So I'm just trying to think what other channels. I used to follow a lot more channels before. Then I had this like black pill moment. I think last year, I just started unfollowing everybody, and I restarted again with YouTube in the respect of following people back. So I like I said, for me, I like to watch some of the guys, the live streams that the guys do on a Sunday, the odd live stream through the week. I'm not really, like I said, as much into YouTube as used to be. And like I said, when I do watch YouTube, it's usually one of my favourite channels is Kings and Generals. I like all that stuff. I've always been into military history, mate, and anything. And I love history in between the wars. There's a good channel that tells you all about that between 1919 and 1939. I like all that stuff, and after the war, I like all that sort of stuff. So they're the sort of channels I like, and I've got loads. And like I said, I download them all, put them on audio, and listen to them when I'm doing stuff on computer. When I'm doing these quizzes, that's why I always listen to like historical stuff. So history, I'm quite good at when I do them quizzes because I know a lot of the stuff. To be honest, to blow my own trumpet, but I'm quite good on history. That's one thing I'm good at. Pronunciations. I've got a long way to go on that yet, Steve Crane. He's in chat. I've got a long way to go on that, but I'm getting there. But no, I think it's good YouTube, and I think everybody should like some of the channels what Scottish Tam has recommended. I want to go back into that one you recommended because I do like watching film reviews. So we'll actually check that one out, to be honest with you. I'm not saying I'm going to watch all this stuff, but it's just interesting. But the thing is about when you go into one particular channel, it always segues into another channel, doesn't it? It's really good, YouTube, the way how it works in some respects. So, yeah, I can't, like I said, for me, I can't really recommend one. I could say recommend that Bonnie Lad channel. He does some, you've got to hear some Yorkshire guy mispronouncing on a live stream, follow him. But no, I think everybody does good stuff. A lot of respect to anybody who does their own content as well. I think it's really good stuff. And like you said before when we were talking at the beginning of the stream, it's a different perspective, and they're not being hoodwinked into what they're seeing it from their point of view, unlike the BBC and all the other sort of stuff. So yeah, I do like YouTube, but like you said again, I think Odyssey as well. I think a lot of these channels, what you've just referenced there, Tam, I think they're all going over to Odyssey, whether forcibly or they're getting the accounts taken down.
See, my whole idea, well, not my whole idea, but the idea behind me sort of putting my content out was just to discuss the things that I was learning and coming across. Because like me and Ant, we've been chatting, we chat for hours sometimes, or we used to chat for hours sometimes, discussing these things. And I just thought, these are kind of things that quite a lot of people already know, quite a lot of people don't know. So it'd be interesting to get that out there. And it's not as if we're making anything up. These are just, in some cases, biology, in other cases, psychology, and they're facts. Hate facts. Some we call for some reason.
I think Galileo just said a good comment about really important to take a break sometimes. Because I do that. I like boxing, so I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, boxing. I don't always sort of like look at YouTube. It's just it's a bit of entertainment as well, whether that's sport, whether it's something else sort of thing. So I'm like yourself, that's what I was like last year, to be honest with you, Tam and Ant and people in the chat. I'm just on YouTube all the time, and I was just listening to stream after stream, then going on to different stuff. Then it was almost that my own process of thought was being, somebody else was doing it for me. I wasn't thinking for myself. So then obviously what were happening to COVID sort of stuff, then I'd had enough. I really got pissed off with it. Then I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to, I started unfollowing everybody and restarted again. And that's what I've been like. I've been like since. And I've started following people now, or look at what they do because I want to do. I'm not doing it because I feel like I have to do. I feel obliged. I have to watch people's streams or support them because we're all in this sort of group. I like to watch people I can relate to and talk about the same sort of subject matter I talk about. And that's how I look at it, to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, no, it's spot on, mate. Spot on. You took a break recently, didn't you, Ant?
What, from all this?
Yeah, you've been off for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I do it sometimes. I take like a month or so off and just relax and try and find something different. I took a month off recently, and now through that, I took a seat back, started thinking about what I'm doing, and started archery and started reading a bit more and things like that. Just to get out, and just to get away from the screen. To be fair, that's why I started doing those things.
See, I took a step back from the stuff that I was like, the deep stuff I was learning, like the psychology lectures and stuff like that. And I switched over to watching like I went through Universal Dracula movies, like chronological order, and then through the Frankenstein, the Wolfman. I've just finished going through Margaret Rutherford's Murder at the Gallop and Murder Most Foul. I think we've only done 4 of them, but I'll go back and watch old movies.
No, I'm same. I think I've got all the Universal movies, and I think it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people don't like all movies. Some people don't like black and white movies. But I'm same. I love those films, and that's when I have my little bit of a break. And I like listening to comedy stuff, but it's always like 70s, 80s stuff. Like I said, I love audiobooks. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. So it's just like you said. I think there's a fight. You can go. It's like anything with social media. You can do it too much, and it can take over your life. Like I said, everybody's got a phone in their hand and they're doing this every 2 minutes. But then you need a break. You've got to give yourself that break, and you've got to force yourself sometimes to give yourself a break, because it's just only healthy. Because I think, I noticed that when I was a lot on Twitter last year, it was just taking over. I'm not saying it was taking over my life, but I was working, coming home, then I would just jump straight on Twitter. I wasn't doing anything. It was 3 hours. I didn't night when I was coming home from work. It become an obsession. But now at the moment, sort of like I'm sort of controlling it myself rather than that control me sort of thing. And if the thing about social media, if you're sort of doing content, making your own content or posting stuff, if you don't post it, somebody else is going to post it. They might have exactly the same perspective, on the particular stories yourself. So it's not the end of the world that you're not posting stuff. I think live streams are more important if you're going to talk about stuff like that. Because I think, again, it's getting your voice out there and, again, a different perspective. And that's what I like about social media. And I think I've said this before about YouTube. But what I like about YouTube, you're talking, it's 3 of us now. We're all from different parts of the UK, sort of thing. You listen to Scott's Army, you listen to Woodlanders, sort of Galileo. We all come from different parts of the country, sort of thing. So, but we're all connecting. I think that's what I like about YouTube, and obviously Sentiment. We're all connecting. You know what I mean? It's like a community, if you want to use that expression. But we've all got something in common. We've all got a commonality. But I think YouTube does bring us together. So I'd rather have that than sort of like just posting stuff all day, because I think sometimes you look forward to speaking to somebody or listening to what they're going to say if they're doing a stream, because it's interesting. I think it's good. It's better than the news, let's be honest about it. Listening to somebody, a couple of guys, like, I'm not saying themselves, but other people can say, well, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's why I like it. I think I don't take it too serious, but I think you do need a bit of a chill out sometimes. And like I said, Woodland has said about the quizzes. That's why I started doing these quizzes. Just to keep that chill out rather than just going 24/7, black pill stuff all the time. You do need that break. But like you say, it's good to listen to other people as well. I'm going on again. I'm sorry, to.
All right, mate. No, it's true though. I look forward to your quizzes. That's like a highlight of my week, mate. No, I hope that doesn't sound too sad. Know what I mean? But it's not the highlight, but it's a highlight in my week. Know what I mean? It's something that I definitely look forward to. No, if you're streaming and listening to like getting in on a chat and that, and even if I don't know the answer, having a hilarious guest, no, because it's like you say, it's as a community, mate. No, then they're all. What I found, I don't find it too amazing, but it is notable, right, that you don't get any real dickheads, do you? There's never anybody in the chat who's being jailbait or don't try to start any animosity. You know what I mean? I've never ever seen that in any of all our streams. No.
I've been, like I said, I think there's been the odd person here and there, but it's few and far between. So I've been quite fortunate. I think, like I said, I've watched a lot of different people's streams, a very shared audience in that respect. And there's a lot of people who, like tonight or other nights, there's people who do their own streams, do their own content, supporting other people, which is good. So it's like I said, it's a community. There's little communities all over on YouTube, and it's interesting when you see new people come, like, this is your first stream. So it's good that you've actually taken that jump, that leap forward, really, to start doing your own live streams on your own channel, which I can only hope you're the best for the future. And I think going forward with the support you've got already, I think you've 26 likes. It's fantastic. So once you establish yourself, it'll go up and up. And like I said, it's good to get somebody else out there as well. All respect to yourself, Tam.
Oh, thanks very much. It's appreciated, man. And thanks very much for coming on as well. And to 23 troops I can see in there. Appreciated seeing everybody here this afternoon, this evening. Know what I mean? And appreciate you, and for joining me as well. I know you rushed home from work.
That's right, mate. I said I'd come and help you out when I can.
It's because I definitely value your opinion, mate. No, and obviously I value Bonnie Ladd's. I've obviously valued Bonnie Ladd's opinion too, no. But I've known you for what?
20 years.
Yeah, about 2 decades or something like that. So it's a bit different, no, when you know somebody IRL. You know what I mean?
Yeah, without a doubt. But yeah, I think you'll do well with channel time. I don't know if you're going to keep this time. Are you going to? Is it this the best time for you? Password? Are you going to sort of fluctuate with the times? Are you going to do this twice a week, or are you just going to do it once a week? Are you going to do streams by yourself as well? Are you going to do sort of standalone streams? Is that something you're thinking about, or do you always want to? Would you like to always have a guest on your channel?
I'm not too sure if I could maybe just do a monologue, but perhaps I might try. But I'd rather probably have folk on, to be honest, because I think that's the whole point. Like, it's all right me getting up here and like explaining, oh look, I've learned this and look, I found out this, but that's just like watching the BBC basically. No, I think the whole beauty of the internet and using these platforms is that we can get a couple of people on. You know what I mean? We can all have a good natter about what each of us has discovered or found out or came across or can share. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying, because I think, like I said, sometimes by yourself, I'm still terrible at it now, going on tangents. Sometimes I don't know when to stop. Yeah, I didn't mind doing it before. I think, like you said, it's very difficult for me because, like I said, every time I do a live stream now, it's where yourself, Sensitive, and it's like Free Amigos, but then I'm on somebody else's channel as well. So I haven't done an actual live stream. The mammoth live streams used to do for 3-4 hours on a Saturday for absolutely a long time now. So I think I'd struggle to do one of them, but I do go on. So I think I'd probably
4 or 5 hours. 4 or 5 hours. 4 or 5 hours, I think it was.
Yeah. I think the record was 4 hours and 45 minutes. It's quite funny, that one. But I enjoyed them at the time, but they ended up getting just ridiculously long. I had to just curtail them. I couldn't go any long. The health hazard as well, doing them for that length of time as well.
Got it. I'll try and do this as much as possible. Maybe twice weekly. I'll look into it, but definitely I'll be back here next Monday, 4:30. If that's it should be good. Yeah, I'll stay that in. Yeah.
Well, there's some good. I was going to say before there's some good people in the chat who do live streams as well. I think they'd be more than happy to come on. I can't speak for them, obviously individually, but I definitely think they'd all come on and give you support on your channel. So I think you definitely get quite a few people to jump on your channels at 4:30 on Monday, all being well if obviously they're free from work, etc. So I think you'll do well. You will get people on your channel, Tam. So I don't think you'll struggle.
Well, I think that everybody has to chip in their tuppence. So I'm quite happy for Andy to come on here and have a chat now. Obviously, MD, within our group at the moment, I mean, I can pretty much safely say they're all right. You're pretty safe, aren't you? You're not going to start shouting anything outrageous, are you?
I might have a bit of a chimp out.
Just keep that for after the watershed. Because next Monday I was going to maybe have a wee chat about race. So I might get you back on next Monday. And
can do, mate.
Because I quite enjoy talking about race and slavery. No, I'm sadistic that way.
It's an interesting topic, to be fair.
Fascinating. I find it fascinating. That book, Bonnie Lad, that sent me that White Cargo, that was excellent. Don't know if have you listened to that? White Cargo?
No.
That's what it's called, isn't it, Bonnie Lad?
Oh,
what? That White Cargo book.
Yeah, I read that book years ago, and there were 2 books. The other one's called it's by Giles Milton, and it's similar to the White Cargo book, and that's what got me into the sort of learning a bit more about white slavery. but it's not a political book. He's just telling the facts because it's quite. If you look on Amazon, it's not like there's a pushback against it. He's just telling the facts how it was. The first plantations, how indentured servants went to Australia, America, especially America. How they like I said, it might be your local town where you live now, like in the 17th century, all these poor people, especially kids, they used to sign them up for 10 years, didn't they, out of these poorhouses, and they'd be going working in Virginia and the plantations and stuff like that. It was absolutely horrendous what went on. But it's just a subject it's not spoke about. So, like I said, I'll try and break that book down, Tam. I'm going to break it down into like 20, 25 minutes, and I'm going to put that on Telegram so people can, it's more easy to get on the devices to listen to rather than just big chunks. That's how I did it with you. So I'm going to break that book down because I think it's important that book people listen to that book, because it's not nothing to, yourself, it's not to do with politics. It's just on your factual history, what happened in the respect of white cargo, white slavery. In a sense, you might not necessarily agree with the terminology white slavery, but in all ends and purposes, it was slavery. How these young kids, and not just young kids as well, there were other adults as well who went over to these places working in the plantations and other places in America.
Oh, it was the Jacobites as well.
Yeah, like you said, it went the 1746 one at Culloden, and a lot of them got killed out of hand. But I think there were like 2 or 3. There's a prison, I don't know whether it's in Scotland or it's somewhere else, where they got a lot of the Jacobites. A lot of them died there. But then they actually, like I said, it was at Jamaica or the West Indies. That's one of the first places. That's where they all sent them, didn't they, to work in them. And the ones who survived or went a bit longer, they went over to the plantations in Virginia.
Those evil English people, I think I need some reparations, man.
But like you said, it's just nobody talks about it. It's a taboo subject. Nobody seems to mention it. Forget about it.
Yeah, no, I need to start talking about it. Need my Mac reparations. No,
but it's worth, like you said there. You can talk about slavery, but you can talk about that issue. Why is this not spoken about? Do you know what I mean? It's definitely. You could just talk about that particular issue because a lot of people probably not aware of what happened. After the Culloden and stuff like that. And it's heartbreaking. I don't have like you said. I just remember reading about when my grandma were in the Culloden. She used to tell me all about the English. She sort of brainwashed me about the English, and she won't shut up about Bannockburn. That's it. She won't shut up about that. So I was brought up with all that when I used to go to Scotland. And my head used to come when I come back to Yorkshire. My head was battered. all this Scottish propaganda. It's quite funny, really. But it's stuff.
What do you mean propaganda?
Yeah, no, but that's real. I thought we won that war and come back home, but no, my dad went to Culloden and all that, and he said it's sort of a place he had to go to, and he was quite moving. He was really moved by what really happened. I'm gonna have to shoot off in a couple of minutes, Tam. So
yeah. No, I appreciate you turning up, gents, and that's 6:15. Is that cool? It's a good time. No, thanks very much for turning up, gents, and
right, mate.
I'll definitely have you back on next week, and I see what you're up to. If you're busy next week, lad.
Yeah, like you said, whenever I come on your channel, support you best you can. Like you said, I've got to go, unfortunately, because I do these live streams in the kitchen, and which everyone wants something to eat now. So I can thank everybody. It's nice to meet you, Ant. So, like I said, I'll hopefully speak to you again soon. And again, Scottish Tam, wish you all the best for your channel. I think it's been a great response for the people, especially at 4:30. 27 likes. It's really good stuff. So I'll thank everybody for giving you support. I want to again thank everybody for supporting me on my channel as well. So I'll just get a plug for my channel if you don't mind, Scottish Tam.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Bonnie.
Yeah, I'll be doing the Brit quiz this Saturday. It's a Great British quiz. It's not a history quiz. It's about Great Britain as such. It's about geography, everything about Great Britain. I've tried to encompass everything about the island, Wales, Ulster, Northern Ireland, England and Scotland. So it's just a general knowledge quiz about that, and I'm just working on it at the moment. So if I don't catch you before then, I'll catch you on. I might catch you. I think Chief Mood does a stream on Thursday, and if I don't catch you in the stream, then I'll catch you on Saturday on my stream, or if Tam does another stream before then. So God bless everybody. I'll catch you all later. Same with you, Scottish Tam. Same with you, Ant. Like I said, I'll have to leave the stream. So take care, everybody. I'll see you all soon.
Bye. I'm just going to sign off for you as well, man. And thanks a lot, folks, for turning up, and I appreciate it. If 4:30 next week if that's cool with everybody else, I shall probably be here, sitting, having a wee chat about things that we're not meant to be chatting about. So, hope you can join us, folks, and thanks very much for your thumbs up, and leave a comment and let us know what you think. Cheers, lads.